This led to, according to Human Rights Watch, about 39 deaths, destruction of properties, and several other things. Though the president, William Ruto, has withdrawn the bill, the people have already lost confidence in him and are calling on him to resign within the next 48 hours. From Occupy Parliament, it is now #Ruto must go and #Occupy Minister of Health. Today I have as guest the President, Kenya Medical Association, Dr. Simon KIGONDU. Before he joins us, we'll take a short break to be back in a short while. Yes, you're most welcome back. The program is International Desk, and I am Mojisola Shulaja. Like I said before the break, I have joining me via Zoom a consultant, obstetrician gynecologist, President, Kenya Medical Association, is also the chairman, Kenya Obstetrical and Gynecological Society, Kenya, but member Amnesty International, to mention a few. Dr. Simon KIGONDU. Good morning, Dr. Simon. Glad to have you.
Same here. It's afternoon here. We are 2 hours ahead.
Okay. Good morning from Nigeria, the Giant of Africa. Okay, let's begin. What part of Kenya are you now?
So, I'm in Nairobi, Kenya. That's where the headquarters of the Kenya Medical Association is, and that's the capital city of Kenya. So
how is it over there now?
So today is a rest day. The demonstrators have a timetable. I think we have Gen Z, people who issue the timetable that is normally issued on X, formerly Twitter. And today is a rest day, and yesterday was a day that they had dedicated to demonstrate across the country, and therefore today is calm and everyone is working.
Now, I listened to the Vice Deputy President, and he said the National Security Intelligence should be blamed. Does it mean that the people did not see this coming? They didn't know the protest is coming, will come this way.
Yes, so I think in the near future, these particular protests will go down in history as a case study in history, and maybe we'll really require to look at what other precedences we have had on this. The reason for this is that these particular protests had no leaders. They were leaderless, meaning that there were spontaneous protests that sprouted all over the country without any particular person calling for the protest. But the key spark of this, it has been coming, has been the high cost of living and the proposals that were being pushed forward by the executive and members of parliament that would have meant that the cost of living would even have gone higher via increased taxation of various things, including basic commodities like bread, increase in prices of fuel, increase in very many clauses that they had made a proposal on. So the protest came on the basis of a very sort of a population that was already feeling the effects of the finance bill of last year, and they had intended to increase these taxes even more. So members of the public had actually told members of parliament to withdraw this bill. Kenya Medical Association as an association had actually also written memorandum on certain aspects of the bill to parliament to see whether they can be withdrawn. These include issues like having electronic tax invoice on health services. As a result of this, the members of parliament continue to push the bill, which went through the first reading, second reading, and on the day the third reading was being had, then the members of the public mobilized for demonstrations to occur, because that was the day parliament was going to pass, and that is the day that the president would have assented. And that was the height of the demonstration last Tuesday.
Yes. Now, I would like to ask, before the protest, was there dialogue at all?
So before the protest, what was there was that there were public participation on the finance bill 2020. It has been ongoing. As you know, the cycle of making a law, it starts somewhere in October, November, December, and the proposal had actually been put back and forth. But the Kenyan public felt that their proposals were not being listened to. It looked like public participation was just a tick-the-box kind of activity, and when the members of parliament insisted on continuing to push the bill forward, which would have had dire consequences on the taxation, then the members of public started organizing. Now, how it is important is that the movement is actually led by the youth for Kenya, the so-called Z generation, because they are the ones who started agitating, mobilized on social media, started giving evidence of the effects of the finance bill 2023 on social media, and all these they started generating how they will protest, how they will ensure that the finance bill is not passed, and it was mainly pushed on the social media. So it was as a result of this that I think, as is usual, the members of parliament of Kenya thought that, as usual, they will push things through, pass the bill, and nothing will happen. People will make noise for a short while, and it will all go away. So when that did not happen, and the youth of Kenya called for a massive meeting, then the streets of Nairobi were full of protesters, and this was unprecedented. And despite that, the members of parliament still continued to push for the bill, and when it came for that reading, there was an even bigger bill, and the people had actually now said they will occupy parliament and eject all those members of parliament and take back the sovereign power of the people, because the members of parliament were not listening to them. So the warnings had come, but the warnings, as usual, were on social media, were not taken seriously, and hence what happened.
Now, during the protests, when the youth stormed the streets, right, they were with just water bottles and all that, the placards. So what happened? What led to the security agencies tear gassing and using rubber bullets? Does that mean that it got to a stage they became violent or something?
Yeah, so there have been several demonstrations, but the initial one, the first one, was a very peaceful demonstration where we had millions of Kenyans coming to the city and also in other towns and demonstrated, and they marched all the way until the city center to parliament, and you could see the clip saying the way they are peaceful, and they made their point. But now in the evening, in the city center, when they were still around, then a rogue policeman actually opened fire and killed 2 people. And that was when now the first death of a gentleman called Rex brought more anger to the people who now organized to come to the city for the second demonstration. And in the second demonstration, because they were going to pass it in parliament and get presidential assent, they actually organized to come and occupy parliament. But now there was heavy police presence that was put off, and by the time the MPs hurriedly put the bill to a vote and passed it, 20 minutes later the whole mob had actually reached parliament. And the police were overwhelmed, and the demonstrators actually went into parliament. It is unfortunate that now in parliament the police opened live fire, and that in that particular incident led to the deaths of several protesters, and when people were running away there were more injuries, and these are all documented. So it is the live shooting during parliament and thereafter and in various other towns that has even caused more problems. As a result of that, one more protest was organized to now demand even further for justice for those who have lost. But we saw, like the one of yesterday, it seems it has been infiltrated by people who are just actually meant to cause trouble so that to demonize the demonstrators and to move away from the cause. But on social media, people have started to reorganize again as they continue to the protest. The president also came out on that day of parliament and actually withdrew that bill. He said he did not sign it, despite it having been passed in parliament, and sent a memorandum to parliament to actually withdraw. But a lot of people were not happy with the immediate press statement that was there, that said that they had deployed the army to quell any form of dissent or demonstrations. So that even brought more anger, and more people came in, and they were also of the opinion that the government did not show any remorse for people who had actually died as a result of the police shootings.
Okay, thank you, Dr. KIGONDU. Now, let's move to this other aspect of it. I listened to the president, I think that was 2 days ago, thereabouts, the press conference, is meeting with the journalist, and he said he shouldn't be blamed for the death that occurred, and that him withdrawing the bill means Kenya would have to borrow more. Are you people thinking towards that line, that borrowing at the end of the day would not favor the country, especially Kenyans?
Yeah, so the basis of all these problems, so to speak, what Kenyans have been saying, and that has been exposed on a lot of social media explanations by even the young generation, is that we are not having an income problem, we are having an expenditure problem. Part of the reasons these demonstrations have been very, very, many people have come out of them, is that in the previous 2 years, members of parliament and many people in the ruling party had displayed a lot of what is called largesse, expenditure, spending, and the perception was that these members of parliament or people in government were using taxpayers' money to promote their own personal items, for instance, and this has been brought out very well by the young generation. Some of them have even analyzed what kind of watches some of the members of parliament have been wearing, Also, some of the expenditure, a lot of people are thinking that this expenditure is not necessary. There have been too many foreign travels without any benefit being shown for that, and that is a lot of expenditure for that. A lot of issues that had been budgeted for in the Finance Act 2023 were unclear. There were budget lines like confidential, which people did not agree with. There were a lot of expenditure items that could actually be done away with. So what majority of people are saying is that a lot of the budgeting and expenditure of the government of Kenya is being spent on what can be said as non-important things. People have raised issues on budgeting for offices that previously were not there and are there, like office of the First Lady, office of the Deputy First Lady, office of the Prime Minister's wife, office of, such kind of expenditure that if removed could actually mean that you do not need to borrow anymore. So what people are saying is that borrowing is not justified until expenditure is rationalized. So that has been the main problem. And we in the health sector also are complaining that health is underfunded. So as they are funding other things that look like they are not necessary, on this other side they are underfunding health. We have medical interns who have not been posted because money has not been availed to the Ministry of Health to budget them, and some have stayed out for more than 1.5 years. And medical internship is a mandatory period where the government pays the medical workers, the medical officer interns and the medical interns to work in government institutions so as to get licensure, but they are also serving the population. So some of these budget items not being in the Finance Act are some of the issues we are saying that the priorities of the government are upside down. So that is the main issue. So before any borrowing can be done, then we need to rationalize expenditure.
Okay, thank you, Dr. KIGONDU. We'll quickly go on a short break, and when we come back, I would like you to give us a status update about the victims and how the government has been preventing you, so to say, from attending to those in need of medical care. So we'll take a short break now. When we come back, Dr. KIGONDU will tell us more. Stay with the People's Daily. I'll be right back.
In partnership with other medics, during the protest, we normally set up medical bases right in the heart of the medical protest, and we have taken part in receiving injuries, even right from the places where these occur, and coordinating the referrals to our hospitals. And we, as the Kenya Medical Association, also visited the biggest hospital in Kenya where a lot of the injuries were taken, and especially the gunshot wounds, gunshot injuries, which is the Kenyatta National Hospital. And we spoke with some of the survivors of the gunshots. And we noticed that there are very young people who are out to ensure that good governance occurs in this country. 20-year-olds, 23-year-olds, who are very happy to have entered parliament, but they have gunshot wounds and they get lifelong disability as a result of that. So there are very many gunshot wounds. To date, the statistics that have been verified, so to speak, and could be more, is that there have been 41 people who have died thus far in total. And there have also been a documentation of about 413 injuries. On those other side, we've also had 682 people who have been arrested during the demonstrations. But we have had to work with the Law Society of Kenya to ensure that they are released, because their arrests were not that they were doing something bad, but they were just asking for good governance. We have also seen a spate of abductions where the state office, the officers abduct people who they think are influential in leading demonstrations. And up to now, there have been about 35 abductions. One of them was even a doctor who was organizing treatment for people who have been demonstrating. And they were doing that, trying to intimidate people. And because this particular protest do not have any leader, so they really did not know who is leading, but this is something that has come from the ground. The hashtag Occupy MOH is now a different sort of hashtag, and that one was generated by the medical interns who have not been posted for about 1.5 years, and they blame the Ministry of Health for not budgeting and the Treasury of Kenya for not releasing monies for internship. So they plan to go and camp at the Ministry of Health to try to push the ministry to actually post the medical interns. What happened is that the Ministry of Health did not budget for the interns, and when there was an industrial action by doctors, they proposed to pay them a stipend of Kenya shillings 70, as opposed to being in the payroll and earning like Kenya shillings 200,000 like they have always done over the years. So this brought a lot of protest. They rejected that offer, and they even went to court for it. But now, because they have not been posted and a lot of them are staying at home, they are feeling suicidal, they are feeling their knowledge is not being utilized, they have decided that once and for all, they will invade the Ministry of Health, and the hashtag MOH next Monday will be what will be in the news.
Oh, that will be next Monday. It's yet to start. Wow. Now let's look at the non-posting of the interns now. What effect is it having in the health sector? Is it having tremendous negative effect?
Oh, definitely. So the first, as the Kenya Medical Association, when you do not post interns and they do their internship, one, they are unable to get license, because the medical internship is mandatory for licensing by the Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentists Council. So already you have put them at a disadvantage. They cannot operate on their own. That's one. Number two, the length of time in which they stay out, the knowledge can decay, and we like, according to posting medical interns within 1 month of them finishing medical school. So that decay of knowledge can have an effect on that. Then thirdly, the medical interns are the front line in our public facilities. They are the front line, and therefore, as we speak currently, there is the health services at the front line in major hospitals that take interns in the country is suffering. And it is also important that the doctor-to-patient ratio of the country is still very low, and there is a need for continued production of medical doctors for even the next 25 to 30 years before we can fulfill the need, because we have an increasing population and the needs keep increasing. And finally, the government is rolling out universal health coverage, and they even are putting out a new social health insurance scheme that would mean the workload will increase. And therefore it is important to have these medical interns go out and operationalize, make the public hospitals out there and the hospitals that hold interns more efficient. So overall, the lack of posting of interns is causing a problem between the medical interns and the Ministry of Health, and it's also leading to poor quality of healthcare across the country.
Okay, thank you. Doctor, let's round off with the protesters have now given the president 48 hours to resign. What happens next? What do your projections? Let's round up with that, and yes.
So for us, I think we tend to avoid what's called whataboutism. Whataboutism is where you really have lost the point, and we try to get distracted. So the outputs of the demonstrations are clear. There is a call for good governance, and we have already seen that the members of parliament who are pushing for the Finance Act have gotten it very rough with their constituents. And secondly, is that the politicians who used to use the platform to misinform people, they instead of doing their work, they used to go to funerals and churches just to continue telling people.
Okay, thank you, Dr. KIGONDU. We have to round up now. Time is just against us. I would like to thank you for your time despite your busy schedule. So thank you so much, Dr. KIGONDU. We have come to the end of International Desk for this week. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.
Trafficking is a